Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Survivor 43 Stockwatch podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstong, and with me today is Aysha. How you doing, Aysha?
Hey, Taran. I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk about some Survivor. Haven't loved the boot order, but I am enjoying the season overall. So I'm excited to dive into it.
Yes. Boot order has not been kind to me or to moms or to women.
Right. Yeah. Seeing as I had the grenade, it's like tough night since night one.
Yeah. It's I did avoid the grenade, but man, I'm lucky. Lucky we don't have a shrapnel rule.
Right. Oh,
Yes,
man.
we are here to talk about episode 4 of Survivor 43. And in this podcast, we're going to rate the players based on how well we think they're doing in the game from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And this is Survivor. We're basing it off of an edit. We are making fun guesses. This is meant for entertainment purposes only.
Please don't be mad at us.
We are not official human being raiders. So please do not take this seriously.
Right. This is all for entertain. It's like you need to have like a little disclaimer at the bottom for entertainment purposes only.
Yes. Please do try this at home, but only in the privacy of your own home.
Right.
All right. Well, let's talk about the episode because this is the first Stockwatch podcast that I've got this season so far. Big Brother, of course, taking up a lot of time here in the postseason, but first one that I've done that we can just focus on a single episode from start to finish. I thought it was an okay episode.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the best of the season. I mean, it started out strong with those 2 longer episodes, which I'm like, give us more than an hour and it will be great. Because even an hour and a half was a nice sweet spot. We didn't have to commit to the full 2. And I thought that was a nice, I mean, I know with the Real Love Boat and the Amazing Race, they've kind of, I mean, they don't have much to work with time, like with time purposes on Wednesday nights now. But an hour and a half really allows us to really get to know people. So there were some sections in this episode I felt like a lot of time was spent on certain things where there were some people I have no idea how to rate them because they maybe were on our screen for 2 seconds.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I don't understand. Just a brief rant. I don't understand why every competitive reality show has to air on Wednesday.
Absolutely. I totally agree. This week I took a screenshot of my Xfinity recordings and it's just like, why is there not another night of the week that you are allowed to air a television show? Because I mean, for those that don't know, I do a podcast about Married at First Sight. That's 2 hours, and that's also on Wednesday night.
That's also on Wednesday. Wow. Okay. It really is the only night, I guess.
Everything else. Yeah. I was just like, you have the challenge. Yeah. Every competition reality show. And then you have, if you look at like the scripted side, shout out to Chappelle and Gia, you have the amazing Emmy award winning Abbott Elementary is also on Wednesday nights. Just like, guys, I swear if you put it on Tuesday, we'll watch. I swear.
Yeah, it's annoying, and the gap, also the Love Boat gap between Survivor and Amazing Race is really like that's Jeff Probst coming in and saying,
"I'm the parent, I'm the fun killer."
That's the Love Boat, the fun killer. What are you doing in between these 2 shows that have always been? I get it. You're trying to sandwich me in. You're trying to be like, oh, look, I know you want both pieces of bread. You're going to have to stomach whatever's in the middle. But it's not what I want.
If anything, it's a break between the 2 shows.
I guess
Perfect
so.
time to make some dinner, But
that's what I'm doing.
Right. Like I haven't gotten into the Real Love Boat yet because the premiere, I went to Bryson Wynn Presents when they were in Houston. And so I was like, yeah, if I can't watch this tonight, I'm probably not going to get to it. But
That's the thing. I'd totally watch the challenge if I could live, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to go back and watch it later. So I'm just not watching the challenge this season, I guess.
It's okay. It's you probably would be way more interested, like in the Challenge USA. Already is better than what we've experienced with the Challenge 38.
That's saying a lot because the end of the Challenge USA really soured me on the challenge in general.
Right.
All right, let's talk about Survivor. We in this episode we learned a couple of things, and how we do this podcast, of course, if you're new, is that we chat about the episode a little bit, maybe a small recap, mostly just as a placeholder to allow me to play sound bites. And then we rate the players based on, again, how well we think they're doing in the game. That's when we really talk about the strategy. So things we learned in this episode. Cody's from Idaho.
Bro, you're from Idaho. Like, calm down.
Salesman from Idaho.
Yeah. The good old Idaho. I mean, what do we have? I guess 3 states that start with an I. So she had like a 1 out of 3 chance of getting it right. She did tweet that she meant she's like, sorry, Idaho, or sorry, Iowa. I meant Iowa.
Is he from Iowa? I don't even know.
Yeah, he's from Iowa. So she got it wrong. But I love the
Does that change it?
Anyway.
If it's Iowa, does it still work?
Bro, you're from
Iowa.
Idaho. Like, calm down.
It doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Idaho has such strong like consonants in it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
bro, you're from Idaho is just kind of it hits.
It does.
What did you think about the Cody salesman strategy here? Of he upsold them basically.
Right. So with the like saying with the machete and everything.
Yeah. So he went to go steal. He was able to go steal from the other tribe. And he starts by saying, look, my managers, they really want me to sell this card to you at like this ridiculous price. And look, I'm on your side. I'm trying to get it down for you. All right. I know that they want the machete, but what can you give me? Because I can take it back to them and not be fired. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do? What can you do for me here?
You got the Cody drawl down. Like, I can't put my finger on what it is, but that's it right there.
I was just going for Smarmy. I wasn't even trying to do Cody.
Yeah. It's like his words all connect. Like he speaks in cursive. And so it's so interesting to listen to. But I did like this strategy. I just didn't trust it at first. I was like, wait a second, what is he doing? Because it's like Dwight said, hey, it's like sending your kid off for school. You don't know how they're going to behave. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to come home with like, a demerit. But the fact that he went, I'm glad he thought that through. Like, because we thought, oh, Cody's just going to go for the machete. I thought it was smart. I mean, even though Carla peeped what he was doing, most of the tribe seemed to like, no, we really want to help you out. And he was able to leave with food. So it was just like, hey, that worked. But if it's obvious enough for one person to catch, I worry about him once he starts dealing with more people, because they're going to just be onto him.
Yeah, well, because like here's the thing about like the salesman approach, right? And I think I'm not a salesman, so Cody, don't come for me. But I feel like there are I'm sure different techniques and approaches as a salesperson, where there's like long-term relationship building approaches, and that's what I think Survivor is mostly about. And then there's these sort of like short-term gotcha salesman techniques where like, yeah, he scared them into thinking he wanted the machete, and then they ended up giving him more than they would have wanted otherwise. And in the moment, like, yeah, he got him. He got much more than he went there for. But is that good long term for him to build relationships with these people? If after the fact, they're in the moment, maybe, yes, they're like, okay, yeah, we're giving you this because we don't want you to take our machete. But if after the fact, they're kind of like, oh man, we really gave him a lot there.
Right.
He's like, you're feeling good in the car dealership. You bring it home, and then you're like, wait a minute, I did just pay more than I intended to. Did I just get swindled? And then you maybe can even like Google it and be like, oh man, you can buy this car for so much less. And like if they talk to the rest of his tribe or something else, and they're like, oh yeah, we thought he would just get some food or something, or just get some fishing gear. Then it like it might not land as well. I feel like there was a little too much focus, for me at least, on short-term gain and not enough focus on long-term. This is a great opportunity for you to build relationships on another tribe, and I don't know that he accomplished that goal.
Yeah, because he came up with this strategy on his own. Like his tribe had a clear cut, hey, just take the fishing gear and go, right? And he's thinking, well, we're too soft right now. We got to do something with it. And so because he came up with that on his own, he had this short-term game where he felt like, yes, I left with $1 million, right? I left with the prize. But all it takes, in which we saw little hints, because we go off the edit, you have to go off of like any little camera shot we see. And I don't know, I mean, you probably noticed, but there are a couple times that they showed Sammy interact with Dwight and Jesse. It was like once during the reward challenge and then once during the immunity challenge. And I was like, it's weird that they're pointing out, like, even like Dwight gave a handshake to Sammy after they completed the triangle. And so all it's going to take is one little small conversation where, like they're talking as a group or whatever. And, I know Sammy wasn't the one on the tribe that they took the stuff from, but they're in a group and it's just a small, like, oh, well, thanks. Thanks for not taking our machete. Like, I know that, when Cody came over, thanks so much for not taking it. And they're like, we don't want your machete. Like, what are you talking about? Oh no, he did. Like he said, yeah, he was just the messenger. That's what and it seemed inconsequential at the time, but something small like that shows them like, oh, Cody's here to play. He's not just the cool guy from Hawaii that we all think he is. I can't say like Carla was saying.
Like, calm down.
Exactly. So I'm concerned that it possibly come out around later to bite him, because I could totally see, like, if Dwight or Jesse are still around, them connecting with like, Ryan or Jay or just or I mean even Carla, just making like a small connection, that a small comment like that could be made, because they've already, like, it already seems like they've made this unspoken connection with Sammy across tribes.
Yeah, it's part of the same issue that I had, even though I loved what Carla did in the last episode, getting the beads the way that she did, and it really represented how well she was doing in the game. I have the same sort of like long-term concerns where it's like, yes, you succeeded in this goal right now, but people are eventually going to be able to communicate. And when they do, what is that going to mean for you? Are people going to feel played by you that you managed to get that beat off of them so successfully? Same thing with Cody getting what he wants in this, stealing thing. And it's much more, in my opinion, excusable for Carla, because she's getting something very tangible in the game, like an advantage that she will now have when she was doing what she was doing. Whereas, Cody, he gets some like a little bit of extra food, I guess.
2 limes.
Which is like, I'm sure that's nice on the island. I get it. I probably underrate the importance of food. I think your dogs are probably.
Yeah, they're just like, it's this like teeth thing that they do at each other, and then they. Yeah, it's like.
They're like, how dare you, Taran? The food is important.
Right. I heard on the like Married at First Sight podcast that it sounded like me or Jason Reed's stomach was growling, but it was them playing.
A little bit, yeah.
It's like this little training thing I've done. They do this the first 30 minutes, and then they're going to sleep the rest of the podcast. Works like a charm.
All right. Okay. So that's where they stand there. We're going to see that the Blue Tribe, which is, I believe, Baca,
yes.
Baca.
Well, no, the blue tribe is Coco because they said Baca
oh yeah,
has
you're
the
right. You're right. It's
better.
Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Coco's blue. That makes more sense. Baca's yellow. I think Baca's yellow.
Yes.
That's I'm starting to get there. I start with the colors only, and then I eventually get to the tribes right as they cease to exist.
Right.
So we're finally going to see Coco go to tribal, and man, this is a weird one because what they've set up is that there's a women's alliance plus James, and that Ryan and Gio are kind of on the outs. I'm going to pull up the photos of this cast. Here we go. In case you would like to take a look at them if you're watching the video. So I'm just going to kind of like hover over them if you can see my little tiny magnifying glass pointer. But we see that, again, the women, so that's Cassidy, Lindsay, and Carla are with James, and that Gio and Ryan were kind of on the outs. We also learn that, and that's kind of what we've been built up to see so far, and that maybe the guys kind of felt like they had Ryan, and maybe Ryan could play both sides. Maybe Carla could play both sides. I'm not sure exactly where that stood. But we see that Gio kind of has an issue with Cassidy. That they kind of clash a little bit. We see them arguing about a fire. And because of that, Gio wants Cassidy out.
Weren't they dancing together during the immunity challenge though?
Were they the two sitting out? Because there was definitely some dancing going on. Maybe they're like there can only be one dancer.
Right. And maybe you can dance with anybody. Like you can dance with your enemy and it's okay.
Maybe there's also something about like people who place their hands on their hips in their cast photo. They need to target each other. Because if that's the case, then this Gabler, Owen, and Sammy alliance is definitely destined for failure because they're all putting their hands on their hips.
Right. Yeah, Bryce knows something about that. All the stances.
Exactly. So Gio wants Cassidy out, but the women's alliance collectively plus James seem to want Gio out. He seems to be trying to take the lead in the tribe too much, trying to sort of take the lead on the strategy. I would imagine also, between Gio and Ryan, challenge-wise, Ryan had been performing very well. Not quite as much in this episode, but had been performing very well and was, I think, a big part of the reason why they hadn't gone to tribal yet. So I would imagine that's another reason why they would choose to vote out Gio over Ryan in this moment. But ultimately, we saw that they decide instead to vote out Lindsay, and Gio doesn't appear to be in the know by the time that happens. So that might have been that they didn't have enough time to talk to Gio. There was some talk at tribal about how they didn't finish their conversations. It might have been that they just didn't trust Gio, didn't really want him to know until the last minute. They wanted him to be on the outs because he felt like he was too comfortable. I don't know exactly. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but trying to come up with reasons here. And so ultimately, we see Lindsay leave.
Right. And I think with the Gio point, I think it was the fact that, when we saw Carla and James talking, they're like, okay, it's Gio or Lindsay at this point. And so I think with him being the only other option, they didn't want him clued in for whatever reason. They just didn't trust him. And he already thought he was running the tribe. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting approach from him to just go around pitching Cassidy and then thinking that that meant he was running the game. It's like, if there's no further discussion, people are just listening to you. I feel like that should be a red flag to you, because I know that y'all haven't gone to tribal council yet, but it's not going to be that easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious to know exactly like who he thought his numbers were in the tribe, because I assume he thought he had James and Ryan. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe he also thought he would have Carla. Is that maybe where it was?
Mm-hmm. I think he talked it seemed like he talked to everybody except for Cassidy. They showed him pitching Cassidy to everyone, because I think the last person we saw him talking to was Lindsay, when he was saying, "Have you heard my name?" And she's like, "No, I haven't." But it's interesting, and just like thinking about even comparing it to last season, how we had the tribe that, you know, was 6 strong for a while, or any season that, you know, has been doing the 3 tribe format with 6 people. The target was so flexible. It all was based on anything that happened after the immunity challenge, because it was Gio from thinking he was running things so quickly, and then quickly switched to Lindsay just because she was so paranoid. So it was like, I wondered, did they have another target in mind prior to immunity challenge, or they just decided we'll get there when we get there?
Yeah, it certainly seems like it would have been Gio, if not for what happened with Lindsay being too paranoid, right? And so I just realized that it was very silly of me to not organize the players by tribe. So I'm just gonna go ahead and there we go. So now, top of the picture here. This is the Coco tribe minus Lindsay, who I put at the bottom because I didn't want to make it uneven. So yeah, I think that, and this is one I have actually listened to just Lindsay talking with Rob about what happened, because similar to Rob, actually, when he opened the exit interview with Lindsay, he immediately opened with like, "Listen, when I see an edit like this, I usually think there's got to be more to this story." Because I had the exact same reaction. Like,
Yeah.
how true is it that just out of nowhere, she starts getting so paranoid that they decide to vote her out? She says that basically what happened is that Gio came to her and said, "Hey, Ryan is pitching for you to leave based on tribe strength." And that she interprets that as that, yes, Ryan probably did pitch for her to leave instead of Cassidy, and that Gio was trying to make sure that that didn't happen by letting Lindsay know. She also felt, I guess, insecure about her position in the alliance, because she felt like Carla was potentially playing both sides, and that maybe Carla would be able to would potentially like go one way or another. I'm not sure I like fully understood all of it, but basically, to me, that indicated, yes, there was some sort of inciting incident here, but ultimately she does admit, like, yeah, it was just paranoia though that caused the vote out, which is interesting to me, because you know, yeah, there's maybe a little more to the story, but I think ultimately what it says is that, like, for the most part, while maybe you can't blame her for getting paranoid, the paranoia ultimately did change the vote from Gio to Lindsay, and that is that's kind of an own goal there.
Yeah, can you, like, which is worse, being voted out because they truly thought you were a threat, or being voted out because you got so paranoid?
Yeah, the ratings might give away my opinion on that one. All right.
Yeah.
That was mostly it. We had that reward challenge with the steel thing. We talked about that. We get in the immunity challenge. This was another interesting play that Vessi, the red tribe, decided to help out the yellow tribe, which is, as we previously discussed, and I'm definitely very confident about and not stalling so that I can make sure to double check. Baca is the name of it. They decided to help Baca out in order to defeat the Coco tribe and send them to tribal. This was another move that I really did not like from the Vessi tribe, for a couple of reasons. One being, I think their reasoning was probably, they have 6 people, let's knock them down to 5. We need to get them to tribal, get them to lose some of their numbers. I don't like that as logic, because you kind of almost want them to have 6 members in a way. If you feel like you can build a relationship with Baca, the yellow tribe, then you kind of can build up Coco as the big threat. They've got 6 people. We need to make sure that we stick together to vote them out. By taking one Coco member out, you're evening the scale between Coco and Baca, and now they both have 5, and now neither of them really have like a huge incentive to align with you, especially since you've just openly gone after Coco by helping Baca. And Baca, like, sure, they could show gratitude toward you, or hey, now Coco's down a member. Like, we can choose a group of 4 or a group of 5. I mean, it's not that much of a difference. We could just go with Coco. Why not? Maybe we like them better. It's a more appealing option than trying to, if they got down to 4 and it's 2 teams of 4 against a team of 6, then yeah, it would be pretty silly to try to team up with that team of 6. But
yeah,
5 and 5 makes a lot more sense.
Exactly. I thought that they banked too much on the fact that Baca was going to show loyalty, because it's just like, oh yeah, they can say thanks, appreciate it. We're safe now. We didn't go to tribal, but what do they have to really hold on to know, like, okay, they would show us the same loyalty back when we get to the merge. We have them. I think it was too risky in order to have all of Coco as an enemy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've just given all the power to Baca. It's just Baca can choose whatever they want to do moving forward if there's a merge, or even potentially a swap. Any member of Coco is going to feel a little bit like, can we trust anyone from Vessi? Like, they wanted to take our machete, and then they screwed us over in the challenge. Like, I don't think they want to work with us. I think we have to look at Baca. And now, Vessi has also locked themselves into, we have to work with Baca. It just really helps Baca in a lot of different ways. I think luckily for everyone at this point, Baca is also a huge mess right now.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. Did it seem like the whole tribe like agreed on at the same time, or based on the edit, it seemed like Noelle was the one that got Ellie's attention to say, hey, and then the rest of the tribe was like, okay, might as well help. We've helped at this point.
Yeah, it seemed like they had knocked the puzzle down very quickly, like, oh, we don't want anyone to see. And then I think was it Noelle that kind of initiated the, like, oh, let's help them. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I think you have to just throw her under the bus if you're the rest of the tribe.
Right.
When you get
Noelle
to emerge.
was already helping. Yeah, exactly. But then, I mean, like I said earlier, the Sammy and Dwight handshake, I mean, I feel like that says a lot. I don't know. I feel like there's this unspoken thing of them looking out for each other that, like, this is trying to foreshadow, because why else show it?
Maybe. Dwight had a not the best episode, I think, because Jeff really came for Dwight.
Dwight is moving about as slow as you can move and still actually be moving. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
That is one of, I think, the most direct and like harsh call outs Jeff has probably ever made. Like that, he really like, cause the thing too is that, like, sometimes Jeff is harsh, but usually the person's actually doing pretty poorly, right? I did not get the sense that Dwight was like that bad.
Right. He was untying the thing. I mean, how fast can you untie like a knot? Like, you have to look at the rope and untie it to get it untied. So it was just like, it was funny that it was at that moment. It wasn't like it was when they were going under the rope, or, when they were like going from one place to another. It was simply when he was trying to get the puzzle pieces out of the bag and Jeff makes this comment. And I just, thank you, Jeffrey. It's just the perfect response. He's like, I heard you, Jeff.
Jeff was acting like he was like stuck in traffic behind Dwight. Like,
Dwight is moving about as slow as you can move and still actually be moving. Thank you, Jeffrey.
They weren't even last. Like they weren't even the last tribe. So it was like, why is he trying to play Dwight like this? That was just the most hilarious part. It wasn't as if all of his tribe was waiting with their puzzle pieces and looking at Dwight. Like, come on, man. It's just like, Jeff, where is this coming from?
Jeff was getting really into the commentary. He also said this earlier.
Boy, everybody is tearing it up.
Yeah, said he loves the energy.
It's so much because you come into this clip, you think there's energy there. You think like, oh man, Jeff is really into it, and then he goes even further.
Boy, everybody is tearing it up.
And it's like, whoa, boy, everybody's tearing it up. Like it's like just when you think it couldn't go any harder,
Right?
he goes that step further. Jeff's just really hyped up during the comps this season.
I don't know how Jeff does not have a headache after every challenge, the way he is yelling. And like, I know he's mic'd up, but he's yelling. Like every tribe member can hear him very clearly at all times.
They don't let him talk to the cameras anymore. He's gotta vent that energy out somewhere.
We're past breaking the fourth wall. We're just in the regular seasons of Survivor. We're no longer needing personal moments with Jeff, which
Yeah.
I appreciated those. It changed things up a bit.
There you go. All right. Okay, let's rate the players. Are you ready to rate the players?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's pull this back up. All right. So again, what we do here is we rate the players based on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. I try to grade it in terms of just like short-term safety, how likely are they to be voted out soon, long-term prospects, how likely are they to go on to win the game, and then like decisions made in this episode. How much did I like them? How much did I not like them? And also again, lots of guesswork, especially because this is an edited show. And we sometimes don't even see certain players in the entire episode. So very much, don't take it seriously. But here we go.
Well, one thing right before we rate these players.
Okay.
Did you have any thoughts about the reward switching?
Oh, right. That Jeff was like, oh, well, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
You can always just swap your reward for a previous one.
Yeah. As we've done time and time and time again. You can
I'm not a Survivor scholar, so I'm not the expert. I can't recall a time that a tribe has and it sounds like something that might have happened, but I can't recall a specific one where a tribe has like just very explicitly been like, can we trade this for a previous reward as that works, Jeffrey?
Right. Yeah. To hear Rob be baffled at this, I was like, okay, that's all I need to hear.
Okay.
But Marianne, as well as Dwight, they both said, yeah, this is a thing. So
is it a new era thing, maybe?
Maybe. Like maybe it's like in the rule book and you if you've studied up to be on Survivor. But maybe as viewers, we just have not been aware. So that's wild because I wonder now that people have seen it done, will it happen more in the future? Will people say, I don't want these PB&J sandwiches. I want the wings and fries from the last challenge.
Yeah, you want the grilled cheese back at camp, perhaps?
Or
I don't have that one queued up.
Yeah. Or the stew. Sounds scrumptious.
All right. Let's rate the players. Let's start with our Coco tribe, the one that went to tribal. And we'll start at the bottom here because we do have to talk, of course, about Lindsay.
Yeah. Her paranoia got her.
She really look, I lost NECA and now I'm losing Lindsay. And it felt like she was in an okay spot here. The thing is, I definitely have sympathy for players that really just like the edit goes hard on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you really screwed this one up. That said, what I saw in the scenes that I saw, There's just no excuse. I feel like there cannot be an excuse. Even if they were plotting to vote her out, I would still not want her to be interacting with other players in the way that she was, where they were like, we've got you. You're fine. Don't worry about it. And she's like, no, you're gonna vote me out. I know it. I just know it. It's just like,
I'm the parent. I'm the fun killer.
Big fun killer energy. Nobody's going to want to work with you if you refuse to hear them when they're trying to tell you something. I felt like this was not good.
Not at all. Like you're in a tribe with 6 people. Okay, you have to work with what you have. And for the 2 people who to sit down with, when James and Carla sat down with her, like, we're good. And she's just like, Carla was acting weird. There was nothing about Carla that was acting weird besides trying to reassure. She literally said, what can I do to reassure you, to make sure you feel safe? Somebody who was trying to deceive you wouldn't take that type of care. It'd be more so, we're focused on this person. Don't worry about it. This is the person, rather than, okay, let's step aside. What can I do to help you trust us to know that we are not going to vote you out? And as soon as I saw that confessional where she was like, "Oh, I'm someone to be targeted physically, mentally. I am a target. So why wouldn't they target me?" I mean, if everyone thought that way, everyone would be acting like her, like every day. Like, yeah, you should think that you're a threat. You should be playing a game that you think can win, but don't project your thought about how you're playing on other people, and because that's what it turns into. You're trying to play everyone's game, and then she's in this position because she's thinking, oh, it'd be smart to target me.
I mean, I don't have an issue with the paranoia itself. I think it's fine to be suspicious and to be thinking about, like, okay, why would people target me? What would it look like if people targeted me? It's fine, I think, to be thinking those things. Mm-hmm. To me, it's showing those things to other people. Yeah. Like, you should not be like, you can be paranoid in your own head all you want. I want you to then be, when you're talking to other people, the most naive, loyal person in the world. Who's like, if you think, oh, Carla is really like, she's gonna come and vote me out, then I want you to be talking with Carla about just how amazingly trusting you are of Carla. And if Carla and James are close, then whenever you talk to James, it's, I love Carla so much. I just trust you guys so much. You're just the best people in the world. Yeah. And then you can go to the confessional and be like, I don't trust these guys. They're the worst. But don't be telling them. Don't be telling them that you don't trust them. It's no good.
Exactly. The way she was talking was like it was a done deal, which is like, I feel like when you start behaving that way with other people, you've just kind of given up at that point, because why? Like, how do you come back from that? You stay, and then now you have to rebuild trust when you shouldn't even be in that position if you were behaving in a way that made it seem like you trusted them. Because she was just clearly showing that she did not trust a single person. And that's not going to help anybody. Even if she were to stay, now they know you don't trust them. So it's like, I don't know what was going through her head. And
it's a like self-perpetuating cycle. It just spirals, where it's just like, if she expresses paranoia, it's going to make Carla and James a little bit paranoid. Yeah. Wait, if she's paranoid, do we need to be concerned? And then Lindsay is going to sense that energy, and she's going to be like, I knew it. I do have reason to be paranoid. And then she's going to get even more paranoid. And then they're going to get even more paranoid about her paranoia, because it's like, oh, we were concerned, but now it's getting even worse. And it's just going to feed itself until eventually it just implodes, as we saw.
Yeah. All she had to do was trust her allies, reassure them that she trusted them, and you just have to have faith in this game that people are going to the people that you feel like you can trust are going to stick to their word. And so it's wild that could have been a completely different outcome had she not done everything that she did after the immunity challenge. So yeah, it's really hard to give her anything but a 1.
Yeah. Sorry, Lindsay. Sorry, it's a 1. Look, I like Lindsay. I think she was fun. Again, I'm sure there's plenty that's left out. I'm sure there's a lot that we're misunderstanding and misinterpreting. But in terms of what we saw on the episode, like, when are we going to see a worse example of somebody just like really just own goaling themselves? Like, this if this is not a 1, then nothing is a 1, because we'll have to give too much grace to every single person. So again, sorry to Lindsay, but yeah, this has to be a 1.
There's someone on a different tribe that I think could come close to that, though, but we'll get there.
Yeah. All right. Okay. That was Lindsay. Let's move on. I think the next person on my list, moving up from the bottom, would probably be Gio, who we saw really, he thought that he was in charge of the tribe. He thought he was going to get out Cassidy. He was nowhere close to correct. So like, if he thought that his plan was like the number 1 plan, usually when you get blindsided, it's like, nope, it wasn't the number 1 plan. It was actually the number 2 plan. In Gio's case, it was like, nope, it's not the number 1 plan. Yeah. Also, you were the number 2 plan. Also, you actually had the number 3 plan. That was your plan, was the number 3 plan. And that's pretty out of the loop here. The fact that he wasn't told, or whether it was that they didn't have enough time or whatever it might be, is obviously not good. I think it's going to further divide him from the rest of the tribe, who was already looking to vote him out before Lindsay got paranoid. It's just not a good place to be, and his confidence going in does not speak well, I think, of his potential moving forward as a player. So I'm going to have to give Gio 3-0.
That was a good one.
That was not worthy of that laugh.
It was so unexpected. That added to the humor. I do find it's hard to see a path forward for Gio if Coco does go back to tribal. Like, it's so easy, it seems at this point, to go ahead and say, oh, well, we don't really trust Gio at this point, and we also know that he is capable of thinking that he's running things. So, what if he gets to a point where he is actually running things? Who knows what's going to happen? So I really hope that this blindside maybe allows him to build stronger relationships and realize, like, okay, maybe I need to reset, because I have a completely different reality about what's going on in this game. But as far as like this episode, yeah, because I treat the Survivor ratings a little bit differently than I typically do Big Brother. Like Survivor, I truly start out everybody at a 5, because we know nothing. A 5 is fair. So with Gio, it was like, ugh, I have to bring you down a few notches. So being that he would have went home if Lindsay hadn't done what she did, and the fact that he was completely clueless all the way through because no one even felt the urge to fill him in. I know they say they ran out of time, but I mean, quickly we're doing Lindsay. Could have sufficed. So I'm going to have to go with like a 2.
2 for Gio. All right. Okay, next up, I would probably have to still go with Ryan here. Just also being on the outs. Didn't seem like he had a lot of say in this vote. When Lindsay said that Ryan did suggest her name, Rob asked, "Oh, do you mean that basically Ryan is the one that got you voted out?" Then she's like, "Oh, no. That was definitely Carla and James." So does not appear to have a lot of influence on the tribe. I think his challenge performance is probably going to keep him safe in the short term until basically a swapper emerged, because Gio should still leave before him. But that challenge performance may also make him kind of like a nice, juicy target / shield in front of the main alliance come a merge or a swap. So I just don't love his position right now. I think it's fine in the short term, but he's gonna need to find a new home in a swapped world or a merged world. So for now, I have to go down to a 4 for Ryan. Asia, what do you think?
Yeah, so that's interesting because I was thinking either Ryan or Cassidy
Mhm.
as being the next up. So do you think that Carla and James would prioritize Cassidy over Ryan if it came down to it?
I think so, because that seemed to be the original alliance,
Mhm.
and we saw that Gio and Ryan should be close, but also they seem to not be on the same page, so it's hard to
Yeah.
know exactly where that stands. But I would assume that Cassidy is still going to be on board with Carla and James, who appear to be the power in this tribe. But I do also have Cassidy a bit lower, primarily because she seems to have entered into conflict with Gio, which I don't think speaks super well for her game moving forward if she's already in some kind of conflict. But she does come nowhere close to being voted out, and
Mhm.
will probably continue to not be close to being voted out in the future. So I think I'm just maybe a little bit higher on her in general. But what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with a 4 for Ryan. Because he's the provider, but I think that the closer they get to the merge, the less they're going to really need that provider.
Hmm.
Especially, I mean, that uh the the recap with Chanel and Rob, it was eye opening to hear that in this 26-day season, fire really doesn't matter. So she said that they just didn't find it important. They found it, or they like made fire once, and then it was just like, okay. So I'm wondering in this new era of Survivor, how important is that provider? Because things are moving so quickly. Do you need, that Aussie on the tribe, or can you
Yeah.
get rid of him?
I mean, I think it's more challenge performance than anything, than any like sort of
Mm,
provider stuff, right? Like anything physical, Ryan seems to be the most physical guy out there,
yeah.
kind of like Jonathan was last season, and so that can be
Mhm.
very valuable. I think, they ended up not having they ran into an immunity challenge that had two different puzzles, and like Ryan also was just very bad at the carnival throwing the
Mhm.
thing. So like they just happened to run into one that Ryan wasn't able to beast for them. But moving forward, I would assume that Ryan will continue to perform very well. So I think he should be good until merge. But then it's like he is part of Coco. I think Baca is going to have a huge advantage come a merge. And even if Coco does sort of like get into a power position, I think that Ryan is somebody that might be up there in terms of target lists. But that's
Yeah.
kind of far away at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, then, I would have Cassidy, who, again, just she gets into this kind of like conflict with Gio. Gio wants her out because they just don't seem to get along. That's not like the best sign in the world when it comes to like a social game, but at the same time, she definitely was protected enough that it really didn't seem like she was, again, anywhere close to being voted out. So that's, I think, a very good sign for her. Um, I don't think there's any reason that she would be targeted anytime soon, as long as Carla and James stick with her. And then if there's a merge situation, I think that she can actually be in a good spot. I think she kind of fits the kind of player that's been performing very well in the new era, in that she can kind of like not be the person that stands out the most right now. I think that's kind of like Carla and James as the people that have been very strong players so far. So I think she has some legs here in terms of her longevity in the game. And so for that reason, I'm kind of going to split the difference a little bit right now. I'm going to go with a 5 for Cassidy.
Yeah, the fact that her name was thrown out, I mean, even though it was by Gio, who It doesn't seem like he's in a power position right now in this tribe. The fact that her name was thrown out and she wasn't even considered as an option says a lot, because I think a lot of people now know that anybody but me mentality, it's fine, right? Because it saves you. And so if they're thinking like, oh, well, we could get rid of Cassidy, that's not me. They didn't jump on that bandwagon. They preferred someone else to go, right? So I think that a 5 is definitely a fair rating for her, because right now she's in a great position. And so I would be curious, what she can do with that. I think what could get her higher than a 5 is seeing her having like some active gameplay to make some moves. But right now it seems like they see her as an asset enough to not want her out, which is fine.
Yeah. All right. Then we have Carla and James. For me, I would put James next. Lindsay said in her exit interview that she felt very close with James and that she felt like his social game was being underrated. I think that's good for James in that he's clearly playing pretty well. I think we already kind of saw that he was a middle person between the two groups in the tribe. I think that's a good place to be. In addition to that, we saw that he made some connections in the previous episode at the Advantage, get together meetup. And so that's good. However, given that Lindsay did seem to trust James, it was really Carla that she seemed to trust the least, right? Carla was the person she was most worried about. She was expressing those concerns with James, I assume, because she felt like she could trust James. That does kind of put me in a position where I feel like, was this the right move for James to get rid of Lindsay? Like, yes, she was paranoid, but she was at least telling him about her paranoia. And I feel like that's the kind of, like, I don't know that I would jump immediately to, okay, now we got to just vote her out. Like she's, I can't with her. I loved the confessional that wasn't really a confessional of him just like ranting to the camera at the well.
Yes.
But I just don't know if this was the right call for him. It's obviously hard to say without knowing more details, but it felt a little bit reaction-y, and maybe not quite where like long-term you want to be. But he's still very well positioned, and he still has, I assume, Gio and Ryan. So I'm not too down on the move. It's just, it raised some questions.
Yeah, what got me, or what I was starting to think was, we're seeing her be paranoid. I would imagine it probably was even worse than that. Not worse, but she said way more that was showing James how paranoid she was. Like said a lot more to him.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to like talk to the camera directly, like he had to be pretty like, I don't know what to do. Like, I mean, he may have felt that even though they had a good relationship and she was an ally to him, it probably was just stressing him out, because he's just like, I'm trying to build trust, but I'm having to prove to you, but I have to manage all these other relationships. It just seems like energy being burnt out when he probably feels like, I don't need to be doing this because I do trust you. And you don't believe me. So what am I going to do with that? So maybe he just reached a point of just thinking like, if I showed you trust, you don't believe me, then like, is there even a point to keep this ally in the game? But he's still in a very good position on this tribe. Like you said, we know he has Carla, and I think he does have a really good relationship with Ryan, and even Gio to an extent. So I think he is in a solid position. So did you give your rating?
I didn't.
Okay. I'm going to go with the 7 for James.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Again, even though this decision raised some questions for me, I just don't have enough tangible reason to say that it was definitively incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And his position, I think, speaks louder than that. So ultimately, yeah, I'm going to go with a 7 for James. And then I'm also going to go with a 7 for Carla. I gave her an 8 last week. I feel like this was, Lindsay appeared to not trust Carla the most. So, getting Lindsay out, I think, is probably the correct move for Carla. But not quite like the highs of the previous episode where she's like getting the idol from getting the beads and like all of this fun stuff. In addition to that, her tribe did lose a challenge, and there's a potential rift, I think, between the tribe and Geo moving forward. Also, like, for what it's worth, I think that even though Lindsay was maybe a little skeptical of Carla, I don't know exactly where Carla stands with Ryan and Geo, whereas I think James, like, if James push came to shove, I think he could work with Ryan and Geo and take out the women. I don't know that Carla could do the same, so I think that puts James in a slightly better position at this moment. Carla has the idol, but it will get found out that she has the idol come the merge, whereas James has the advantage of, having a potential relationship with some of the people on other tribes that people probably wouldn't know about. So I think James has a couple of things over Carla, but I think Carla has a couple of things over James. Ultimately, I'm going to still go with Carla over James, but they're both going to be a 7 for me.
Yeah, I see it the same way where I'm seeing Carla is like a high 7, James is like a lower 7.
Mm-hmm.
Because Carla has really been impressing me. She is definitely somebody I am rooting for. She is entertainment. Bro, you're from Idaho. It's just gold, right? She's the only one that we saw that truly peeped what Cody was trying to do. And so the fact that she's able to just put that in her pocket and not say, whoa, Cody, why are you trying to do this to us? I'm like, I think that'll be important should they both make the merge. So I definitely see her as someone that's capable of, she is a strong position now, but even creating even more relationships and like just do really well. So definitely agree with you there.
All right. Let's move on then to let's see, which tribe should we do next? I don't know that we even saw much. I guess we'll do Vessi. I feel like we saw a little bit more from Vessi than we did from Baca. So let's start there. Who would I say is at the top of Vessi? I'm gonna have to give it to
Dwight is moving about as slow as you can move and still actually be moving. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yes.
I feel like Dwight is in probably the best position here for a couple of reasons. One, and I think this is about where I had him before as well. But I think that he has that connection to Jesse. Even though it's been a little bit damaged. He's got Noelle, who has the steal a vote. And this is, of course, Jesse. This is Noelle here, if you're watching the video. He has this, Noelle has the steal a vote, which means that if push comes to shove, they will have the numbers. It will probably have to come down to a 50-50 guess between Jesse and Cody, given that Cody has an idol. And that if Cody successfully plays it, that would be bad. But they could also, it's not impossible they could convince Cody just not play it, just completely blindside him, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are more options for Dwight and Noelle, in my opinion, than Jesse and Cody have. And Dwight, if Noelle is the person that initiated, and I don't remember exactly if it was, but I trust you, Aysha. If she was the person that initiated the helping of Baca in the immunity challenge, then she definitely needs to get some demerits for that. So for me, I've got Dwight here at the top of the tribe in a week where we really didn't learn much, at like a 6.
Yeah, that's fair. Because the way I would be curious how he would play it if they were to go to tribal S4. I think that would be very telling about, how well he's doing in the game and how well he's able to read, what's going on with Jesse and Cody. Even being, blindsided by Jesse with the first vote, I think that or first vote that they had.
Yeah.
I think that it was I think that they've been able to have like kind of rebuild their relationship a little bit. I mean, they saw it as a marriage, so maybe they're like, they divorced, but maybe now they're dating. So I do like Dwight's position. He is definitely impressing me. He is on my draft team, and he was the last one I picked, but I'm like, hey, maybe I should have picked him second. Noelle was who I picked second, and Mariah was who I picked first. So there we go. But I think that it'll be interesting just to see how things play, because I think right now things are fine. I mean, they've shown that they can work well together. They just won 2 challenges, and I'm just curious on like the strategy front, because it is a good thing that Noelle trusted him enough to tell him about the steal a vote. That's big, right? I think it was Kevin that said it's important to know where the advantages are. Like that's almost as important as having it yourself. Yeah. So I think that if he plays a major role in how she should play that steal a vote, it really will show, how capable he is. But yeah, definitely of the 4, he's doing a great job. I'll be interested to see how long he can wear these twists that NECA put in his hair, because I mean, given that they have nothing, I am impressed how long they've lasted. Those could have easily lasted a day, but NECA works some magic, and they've lasted through water. So, and it's a fine look for him. So, yeah, that's just a little side note. But yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, because I was in between a 6 and a 7 for him. So, we'll just say I think a 6 is fair.
All right. Who would you have next? Second highest on the tribe?
I think I'd have to go with Noelle.
Yeah.
It is interesting because given the pattern, you would think Noelle is next. But the steal a vote helps for sure. I think she's definitely proved herself to be a beast in challenges. And so I think her and Dwight, all they have to do is coordinate and come up with a good plan should they go to tribal again. And I think even Jesse may, because if I'm thinking if Jesse had a choice between Cody or Noelle to trust, at least Jesse was on the same page as Noelle and Dwight for what to steal. I think Jesse could end up seeing Cody as more of a liability and thinking like, okay, yeah, he's cool, but he may need to go because I don't know how like his actions would affect my game. So with Noelle, I think I would I'd put her at a 5, just because we didn't see just a ton this week.
Yeah, I really didn't like the helping of Baca, so I'm gonna drop her maybe a point lower than maybe she would have been. So I'm gonna agree with the 5. I feel like I keep confusing this, but assuming that they go to tribal, she plays the steal a vote. They could split their votes, right? If Dwight puts a vote on, let's say just like Dwight puts a vote on Cody, she steals Cody's vote, puts 2 votes on Jesse. Cody plays the idol, Jesse still leaves 2-1, right?
But if she steals whose vote?
It doesn't really matter, right? Like if she steals, it could, right? Let's say she steals Cody's vote.
Okay.
But then there's 2 votes on Jesse. There's 1 vote on probably her and Jesse, and 1 on Cody that gets negated. Jesse leaves. If they put the 2 votes on the wrong person, though, let's say they steal Cody's vote, put 2 votes on Cody, 1 vote on Jesse. Cody plays the idol, 2 votes are negated. It's 1 vote on Jesse, 1 vote on Noelle. I don't know how that revote works at all.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
You have
you have Cody, whose vote was stolen.
Voting. Yeah,
you have Jesse, who is one of the people voted for. You have Noelle, who is one of the people voted for, but should have 2 votes. But now can she vote with either of those votes now that she's one of the people in the tiebreaker? Does that mean that Dwight is the only vote? Like, right. Who knows? I would assume I'd give the edge to the people with the steal a vote. And let's say that instead it's like let's say that she steals the vote from Jesse. The tie is between her and Jesse. Cody has a vote. Dwight has a vote. Does she get to use Jesse's vote that she stole, or does that not count as a vote? Does she not vote for either of those votes? Is it just going to be a 1-1 thing again? I don't know. It's a very, the revotes with this vote steals are very confusing to me.
Yeah, like I want them to go to tribal just so I could see what happens, like how that plays out.
Yeah. All right. I would put Jesse next for me. I think that he is in a little bit of a tricky spot. I really, again, did not like the voting out of NECA last week. One of the reasons why is that I do think that he is pretty vulnerable going into a tribal, assuming Dwight and Noelle stick together and use the steal a vote. It should basically be a guarantee that he's the one that leaves if Cody plays his idol. And that's not a great place to be. I don't like how much danger that puts him in. And so for me, I'm gonna go with a 4 just because of how much danger I think that he's in.
Yeah, yeah, I'm at a 4 for Jesse as well. I think that, voting out NECA was not a win. Voting out an ally, you could have definitely continued to have the numbers and move forward that way, because what are you without a number in this game? And I think now he's put himself in this position where we don't know how it would turn out being like 2v2. He knows what he did to Dwight. Like, he knows that there's some repairing that has to happen there. So I just wonder if he's just like, now that they've won too, like the whole tribe, are they thinking, okay, we can just bank on winning and we don't even have to worry about having to betray each other. So yeah, I think he's definitely in a better position than Cody. So yeah, I agree with the being third best. Yeah, I'll go ahead and agree with a 4.
There you go. I think Cody is probably safer in the short term, given that he has the idol and he can assumingly play it. Because that's the thing for Jesse as well, is that it's not even easy for him to flip. He's like, oh, I don't want to go 2-2. Like, I'll just flip to Dwight's side with Noelle and just vote out Cody. The problem with that is that Cody has that idol.
Right.
And so it's not that simple. He would have to trick Cody into not playing the idol, or allow Cody to play the idol, and then hope that Cody, or convince Cody to put the vote on like Noelle or Dwight instead. Neither of those things should be that hard, but it does make it even more difficult than it otherwise would be to just be like, okay, let's just get 3 against his 1 and it'll be that easy. So I don't love that. I do think that Cody is safer than Jesse here, but I also just don't feel great about Cody. I know that Cody, I think at least, I'm not like having a lot of time to like dive into the reactions, but I assume from the little that I've seen that people are really enjoying Cody from Idaho.
Bro, you're from Idaho. Like, calm down.
And the energy that he brings to the season. But gameplay wise, I'm just, again, not super sold on what he has done so far. I did not love the salesman approach to going to the other tribe. I just feel like he is going to be, like, based on that one move alone, I think he's going to be seen as like the leader of that tribe. And I think he's going to be seen as like the big threat. And I don't think that's where he should be. I think his laid back kind of like goofy nature should be lowering his threat level. But instead, I think that he can't help himself. But let me put a target on salesman because I'm a salesman. And because I'm a salesman, let me get more than I came here for when I go and steal some stuff from this tribe. It's like I think that's probably why people are enjoying him, if they're enjoying him on the show. But I also think that it will lead to his downfall eventually. For now, though, I'm gonna give him just a lower 4 here on the Stockwatch.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering that when they decided who to go to steal the thing from the other tribe, Dwight seemed the most hesitant to send Cody, but they didn't put up a fight for someone else to go. And I wonder if they were thinking like, okay, the overall goal is that we'll get something from the other tribe, right? And they're thinking if Cody goes, either he's going to win them over or they're going to realize that he could be a threat. Did Lindsay say anything about, well, no, she wasn't on that tribe, but yeah. Did you think there was any further thought process about that?
I mean, if there's an opportunity to go to the other tribe, even if it's just to steal something, I'm volunteering for it every day of the week. Any opportunity to interact with the other tribe is great, especially if I go over kind of in a position of power where I am, ostensibly there to take things from them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over there and instead of sort of like faking, like, look, they want the machete, but what can you give me that I can take back to them? I can go over there and be like, look, guys, we don't want to take anything from you. I get it. It's part of the game, but this is living conditions. We'll all perform fine in challenges. Like, we don't really want to maybe we'll take the fishing gear because we won this challenge, like whatever it is, right? If whatever the case may be, I'm there to make relationships. I'm there to build relationships. I'm there to be hey, so are you able to talk to anybody individually, or can you just kind of give off a general sort of vibe of hey, I don't know how you guys feel about Baca, but I feel like a couple of us have connected. And, I think that it would be really cool to, think about working together moving forward. I don't know how these things go. I don't know how much time there is, but I'm going to go there to see, to feel it out and see if there are any opportunities to make those kinds of statements without it being too weird. So if I'm Dwight, yeah, I'm don't send Cody over there. Send me over there, and I can say hi to my buddies from the other tribe, and then we'll give each other some winks and some handshakes. It'll be great.
Right. Yeah. That made me feel like Cody was in a better position on this tribe, but then thinking about the combination of Noelle's still a vote and her and Dwight's strong relationship, they're in a good position. I don't think that they're in any danger if they were to come to fore, unless things don't play. They bank on the wrong person being safe. So yeah, Cody does have this idol, so that prevents me from giving him a 3. I'm gonna go ahead and agree with the low 4. I think that it'll be interesting to see if they are able to finesse the situation to make him feel safe and think that he doesn't have to play it, because he's going to want to hang on to it because he has it. He did what he had to do to get it, right? So he's wants to hold on to it as long as possible until he needs it. And so I think it'll be interesting to see if he's going to be you know what? I need to use this now. I can get another one at some point if I need to, but I need to stay right now. But I don't know why I just have this vision of him going home with that hat with all the beads.
It's not a bad vision, I think. This could definitely happen.
Right.
All right, let's finally talk about the Baca Tribe. I think we saw the least amount from them in this episode, at least from my perspective. I think basically the thing that I felt like I learned from this tribe was that also, just a quick side, does Janine look photoshopped in this photo?
Yeah, she does.
Totally looks photoshopped to me. I don't know why. I think the hair is just too cleanly separated from the background. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's as if the rest of them were taken with okay, with the exception of maybe if you look at Jesse, Ellie, and Carla, it's kind of the blur feature on an iPhone. iPhone just outlines you. We know all those Android people, whatever. It does outline you a little bit like that. So the blur is too strong in the background is what's doing it.
Yeah. Anyway, I felt like the thing that I gleaned from the most in this episode was that the tension between Gabler and Ellie. In the previous episode, they made it seem like Ellie tried to lie straight to Gabler's face. He saw right through it and didn't give her any indication, and now she is so overconfident about her relationship with Gabler. However, in this episode, there was very clear open tension between Gabler and Ellie, which to me signified that whatever that was, it did not remain hidden for long. That Ellie seems to know her and Gabler not on good terms anymore, which kind of lines up with how I see Gabler as a player.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode, I felt like the only storyline for Baca this episode was the annoyance of Gabler. Like, I think we got 3 examples outside of Janine. I think she was the only one that we didn't get an example from. But with Sammy, he was annoyed about the palm fronds being laid on him. Ellie was as well. Owen, while he was doing the puzzle, he said, "Thank you, Professor. Do you have any other ideas?" Since Gabler was calling out them doing the puzzle wrong. And then obviously the fire situation with Ellie. So I think that, they are very clearly annoyed with him for certain things that he's doing. And I thought it was just going to be at camp, but clearly it's in during the challenges as well. So, obviously I would think he's at the bottom.
Yeah. It's could we just briefly talk about the palm fronds? Because like in his head, right, he must have thought, let me just affectionately tuck someone in with this blanket, right? You know how you walk, somebody's sleeping on the couch and you're just kind of like, oh, sweet moment, put the blanket over them. It's fallen off. That must have been what he thought he was doing as he took a giant palm frond and placed it over people sleeping in the shelter.
Right?
What are you doing? Oh, I'm just trying to go cover you up with a blanket.
Right? It's it didn't make sense because just they use the palm fronds as to cover to make a shelter, right? So that would be the equivalent of taking that huge heavy tarp.
Yeah.
Be like, here you go. I'll tuck you in.
Just placing it over the entire person. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, and no one asked for it. I think that was the main thing. He definitely thought it was just a kind gesture, but no one requested it. And so it's just wait. Sammy's confusion is what I was cracking up. Just why is there a palm frond on me right now?
I would have felt did a tree fall over on me? What's happening?
Yeah. It woke them up, and they were all, I guess Ellie, she had her arms in her sweatshirt. So clearly cold, but when you do that, you're in a cocoon. You're good. You don't need a palm frond on top of you for extra warmth.
Yeah, the only thing, the only saving grace for Gabler in my eyes is that he's basically lock safe in the next tribal, because his idol was only good for 2 tribals. He's already been to 1, and so there's no reason for him not to play it.
Right.
That said, this is Gabler we're talking about. The guy that in the first tribal was like, I'm not playing the idol, I'm playing the shot in the dark. Vote me out if need be. Right. So who knows?
This is the guy we're talking about. It's you would think that's just the regular assumption. He only has 1 more time to use it. He'll use it, right? But no, Mr. Shot in the Dark himself, he will probably find a reason to use it on someone else.
Yeah. He'll use it on someone else, and then he'll also play his shot in the dark.
Yeah. He's like, not only am I going to give you my idol, I'm going to take away my vote.
Yeah. So I have him at the bottom of the tribe. I gave him a 2.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a strong 2. He's, like you said, the only thing saving him is the potential that he would be lock safe if they go to tribal, but he might find a way to mess it up.
I just can't see a world where he wins the game. I just, at this time, I just don't see it. So,
no.
All right. Who would you have next up on the list?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And because I know that a lot of people are, they like Ellie's game. But maybe I don't know. Because I'm mainly thinking about the previous episode, since we didn't get like a lot of content from them. And I'm wondering, are the guys thinking Ellie's the next to go, especially over Janine?
From my point of view, in this tribe, given that they know Gabler has an idol, the two people, if they go to tribal on the chopping block, will be Sammy and Ellie. It'll be basically, I would assume does Owen side with Ellie or with Sammy, and which one does he vote out? That's kind of my assumption. That's assuming he even has a vote.
Right. Yeah. So would you see Ellie or Sammy as next above Gabler?
I think I have to put Ellie. I think she appears to be lower in the structure at this time based on what the edit is showing us. They're really showing us that Sammy has the guys together. I think that might be I feel that it's a misdirect in the edit. Yeah. But that feeling is not quite enough for me to negate the fact that we've seen, I think, more concrete mistakes from Ellie and more sort of solid moves from Sammy. I said it last week, though, that I don't feel great about Sammy as a player. I think I'm going to have them both, like, not the highest. I'd probably put them both at, like, 4s right now. I just don't feel... I don't feel confident in exactly where this will go from here. And I don't feel super confident about either of their games at the moment. I think Ellie has more of a chance to have long-term success than Sammy does, but I think short-term she's in maybe a little bit more danger. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if Gabler is a 2, yeah, I'm going to have to say that Ellie is about a 4. I don't know if she can get past this, whatever this is going on with Gabler in the like the short term, in order to build something that's stronger to save herself moving forward, like within Baca. So yeah, I'm gonna agree there with a 4. And you also gave Sammy a 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him at a 5. Only because I feel like if he is solid with Owen and then they decide Gabler uses his idol, and so they're like, well, we might as well have a 3 and pull in Janine for now, but then if we need to take her out next, we would. Especially how this season is trending right now. I could see them thinking that, just like and like I said, I don't know. I'm just hoping in a few. I'm only because I'm like I'm reading so hard into the edit. I'm thinking that, like I said earlier, I think there's a reason they showed Sammy interacting with Dwight and Jesse, because Jesse acted like he threw a football, and Sammy acted like he threw a football, and then Jesse said something in response to it. It was like, what? There has to be a purpose. And did you notice the dance that Sammy did when Baca completed the puzzle?
I did notice, yeah.
Like peak Gen Z.
Yeah.
It's called the gritty, and it's just like this hopping type of thing on your feet, and people like to do it across long places. But it was like the fact that was his go-to. Oh, Sammy, you just screamed that you're 19. So
maybe not that much of a difference between like a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. I think they could both theoretically do silly dances.
That is very true. Yeah, that's a solid point. But I was just like, I didn't think that the gritty was something I would be seeing in Fiji on Survivor.
That's how it works. As we and the show get older, the players get younger.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with a 5 for Sammy. And I think that I know who you will put up next after Sammy.
Who am I putting next?
It has to be Janine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd give her a 5 too. I feel like Janine is the person we've maybe seen the least in the entire show at this point. I just have so little to go off of. I would assume that Ellie would be the target ahead of Janine. And given how potentially close we are to a merge, I think she's probably fine to get to the merge, at which point, who knows where her game goes from there, especially given how much of a mess this tribe is. But I do think that overall, this tribe is in a good position to work with whichever group they want to move forward with. So I feel like she could be in a good spot moving forward, but I also have like no idea. This is really just an I don't know 5.
I'm also at a 5 with her. And it's also one of those things of like, okay, can we read into the lack of content we're getting? Because if she were going home anytime soon, you think we would know something about her. Like they may want to like have it as a priority, but for all we know, next episode they'll give her life story, and then she could go home. So
it's got to come at some point.
Right. We gotta get to know who Janine is. But yeah, I also agree that she's a 5, but I don't think that they're looking to get her out next.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that leaves Owen at the top of the tribe. Aysha, what would you rate Owen?
I think Owen is in a solid position. I think that he's put himself in a position where like they're not thinking about getting him out, because I think that at this point everyone sees him as an asset. And because I was really worried about him preseason, because he seems like someone who would be a really big threat, who you would want to get out, because they are a threat, because he look at him, he's athletic, he comes off like he's pretty smart. And so I'm like, it depends on how the players want to play. Sometimes they're going in thinking this person can win the game, so we got to get them out. But this group is looking at the short term of, we've seen keep the tribe strong, quote unquote. So I think that he's in an okay position right now. I think I don't think we have to worry about Owen until the merge. I just don't see a scenario where he's being voted out. I don't see a scenario where Janine and Gabler and Sammy are like, Owen's got to go. So, just with the way that the tribe is structured right now. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and give him a 7.
I agree. I would go with a 7 as well. I think that he is very pretty safe in the short term. I think long term he's set up decently well as well, especially with Baca getting this gift from Vessi of really just should be able to play the middle if a merge comes in the next couple of rounds. And I think that he's probably the person that benefits the most from all of that, given that he is currently in the middle of the middle. So I like all of that. It's really just that, like, for now, it's mostly just that I like his position, but I still haven't seen a lot from him about, like, did he put himself here, or was this kind of like he landed here? Because it seems like he just landed here.
Yeah.
But he also seems like he knows the game pretty well and knows what to do with it. So, I'm not like super, super high yet, but I do like the position, and I feel like there's reason to be optimistic here for Owen. All right.
Yeah, there we go. We did
there
it.
We go. We did it indeed. I think player of the week for me still has to be Carla.
Yeah.
Carla over Owen. I think it's close between Carla and Owen, and I think James is up there too. But I think I still have to go Carla. I think the momentum from last week is still holding, and I think that she's also in a pretty good spot moving. I feel like she's the player that I've seen through the edit, at least, as having done the most intentional work to put herself in the position that she is.
Yes.
And it really did feel like this was like her call at this tribal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we could feel differently if they were showing more of Owen, but right now that's what we're getting. And so I'm really enjoying watching Carla. I mean, it was really cool being at Bryson Wynn Presents and just like for the episode where she was finding the beads or getting the beads, and everybody was pretty excited for her. So it's like that energy is always so great. I'm like, I wish there was a Bryson Wynn Presents in Houston every single week. But yeah, I think that she's doing really well. And like you said, James is right there with her. It'll be interesting to see how their games kind of like, go if they continue to align or if they start to go their separate paths, because I think them against each other would be really interesting, because it would really show their strengths. But yeah, I definitely agree with Carla, and I'm interested to see. And she always has these nuggets that are. I mean, last week it was the face of just like the epiphany face, and this week, bro, you're from Idaho, so
Bro, you're from Idaho. Like, calm down.
mm-hmm.
Boy, everybody is tearing it up.
I was hoping you had the thank you, Jeffrey. Oh my goodness.
I could probably clip just the end of
Dwight
this.
is moving about as slow as you can move and still actually be moving. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
We can clip the end of that.
Oh,
That's a long-term clip right there.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've done it. Thank you all so much for joining us here on this week's edition of the Survivor Stockwatch. For those of you that are asking for the game version, I promise eventually it will come. But just for now, again, we're just hanging out. We're just having fun. We're just talking about the episode. That's the point of what we're doing here. But of course, there's some more Big Brother coverage coming your way around this time. The Big Brother Stockwatch should be updating soon, I promise. And more deep dives to come as well for the Big Brother postseason. So stay tuned for all of that. You can find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, hanging out. I just started watching The Mole over on Twitch.
Yes.
So you can watch along with me if you want to join me on my mole journey. And we also do other things and watch Survivor live. So if you want to come out over and watch Survivor with us and hang out in the chat, it's always a good time on Wednesday nights. So find me over there on Twitch, and then YouTube stuff going on. I've got House of the Dragon podcast, lots of fun stuff. You can find it all over at Armstrong Taran on Twitter. Aysha, where can people find you?
Yeah, y'all can find me at Asia like Asia on Twitter. That's AYSHA like ASIA. Speaking of Twitter, the way that I've had to mute the Mole Netflix and the Mole, because people are just live tweeting it. Like, can y'all hold up? Some people work today and can't get to it until tonight. So I will be doing that with the rest of my night, catching up, watching this batch of episodes. But yeah, for podcasts, y'all can find me over on the Love at First Sight feed. I am talking about Married at First Sight season 15 with Jason Reed. We are winding down on the season. Episode 15, our recap of episode 15 is out now. We're having a great time talking about Married at First Sight. And then Love is Blind returns October 19th. So Mary Kukowski and I will be talking about Love is Blind season 3. And then I also joined Puya on the Hot Mess Express to talk about 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. So I'm just talking about love all across the board. Just constantly talking about love, acting like I know something about relationships. And let's see. Yeah, anything else that I'm up to, I will tweet about it. If you do, if you follow me, you know that I have 2 dogs now. So if you want any dog content, go follow me on TikTok at Malshi Poo Sisters. I've been consistent with posting some TikToks of them and just having a good time with it. So they can be some puppy influencers.
All right, there you go. Thank you all so much for joining us here this week. I'll be back next week to talk about episode 5 for the Survivor Stockwatch. And until then, see you later.